Hey, Samara. Hello. Hello, Parvati. Hello, Lynette. Um, I was reading this book about, hey, Mariska, about the moon signs. It's in Spanish. It's from an Argentinian astrologer that it's about the moon signs. And I was looking um, at the moon in Libra, Samara, that you have a moon in Libra. I was looking at the gorgeous image of the goddess Selene, or Selene, represented here by this image. It's so beautiful. I love it. This is moon in Libra archetype, represented in a goddess. It's so beautiful. For example, you have in here Pachamama as the moon in Taurus archetype. It's so fitting, so beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. Parvati, your username, is it after a goddess? Because I do have a Parvati here. So is it like a goddess? Hey, Hope. Oh, it says a lot, definitely. It says a lot, but I cannot read everything. It's in Spanish. Like, I cannot, like, I wish I could translate. Oh, because I have it here, look, as a representative of a moon in Cancer. Look how beautiful it is. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like, I was looking at your name and all of a sudden I was like this and I was like, oh, this sounds familiar. Is it Parvati is a goddess of what? Like, is it like a sort of a motherly kind of goddess? Because she represents moon in Cancer. Oh, I'm going to look for it. It says here that Parvati is a powerful goddess, creator, and protector. In the Hindu pantheon, is the one that has the ability to give to all the human beings what they need. Is the goddess of aliments or food, inner power, and mother of divinities. Kali, Durga, Parvati are the same goddess. In one way or another, they are free manifestations of one divine force. You can summon Parvati's strengths whenever you need to learn something about yourself, nourish yourself, or being a mother to yourself, whatever you want to call it. There's a story about Shiva's wife. She's known as the goddess of power, and she has a lot of avatars, fierce one and also calm one. You will find a lot of her forms. Yeah. Inner power. Yeah, I have Kali here as well. Um, Moon in Scorpio. The Moon in Scorpio is represented by Kali. The Moon in Scorpio chapter. I love this. I also bought an oracle of goddesses that I'm going to be using because I wanted to do a sort of like a reading for the females in the community or the males, you know, that they would want to like somehow integrate the goddess within themselves, you know, to see what kind of archetype of goddess they get, you know, and what's the message and what you can learn from that energy. But yes, also the goddess archetype it's very linked to the moon sign, to the archetype of the moon. So this is why I always pay extra attention to the moon sign of a person, because me as a therapist, it allows me to go in, you know, instead of using the usual sun sign, you know, or the rising, that it sort of represents how you show or how you're viewed by the world. I want to see what's inside of you so we can work on that, you know, instead of just, just staying with what I see from you, you know, because images are deceiving. And we are changing all the time. When it comes to personality, we are always changing. But when it comes to our emotional needs or our emotional way of feeling, that's very distinctive in each one of us. It doesn't change that. It's very stable. It's always there. Moon in Sagittarius, I have Durga for Moon in Sagittarius. And see here, it also lets you know the whole attributes. It's like, for example, this is why I always say that it's not just, you know, just knowing your moon sign. You also have to see where in what part of the chart it is, in what house it is in. For example, maybe you are not a moon in Sagittarius, but your moon, whatever sign it is in, your moon can be in a house that the house also affects and gives its influence to the moon. For example, if you have a moon in the ninth house, it's the house of Sagittarius, so you can have like a lot of moon in Sagittarius traits as well. Or some aspects of like Jupiter in the third house as well. So there's a lot of things, you know. This is why astrology is so complex. You have, for example, Moon in Aquarius, we have Lilith. as the archetype, the goddess archetype of Moon in Aquarius. Yes, Lynette, you have to take both. You have to take both influences. Like, take it to learn from yourself. You know, like in a sense that, okay, yes, you have a moon in Pisces. We know it. But you also take that if it is in the ninth house, it can also have a bit of Sagittarius. You can have this sort of mechanism of a Sagittarius as well. Yeah, Pisces moon. Oh, for Pisces moon, we have Virgin Mary for Pisces moon. It's beautiful. I love it. I love this book. I love this book. And each one of the chapters, actually, this is why I think that it's not that sort of textbook that it lets you know, the typical characteristics of the sign, of a moon sign. It focuses more on each chapter is like an anecdote. It's like someone's story, someone's life story. So they're like, yes, I am a moon in Cancer. And my mom was like this to me. Like I had, this is my vision of my mom. This was how my childhood was. This is how I perceive it. This is how I am now as an adult, being a moon in Cancer. So this is why it's not, I wish I could translate it for you guys, but it's not, it tries to teach you from someone else's experience how is it like to have that, for you to integrate what it feels like to have that moon, What is the name of the book? But I don't think she has like it's in Spanish. Hope I don't think she has an English version. I don't think she has it. I don't think she has it. Unfortunately, because she's Argentinian, and but if you happen to know a bit of Spanish, maybe it's very. For example, let's start now that we are in Aries season. For example, Moon in Aries. Google Translate. Moon in Aries is represented by Artemis. We call it Artemisa here. This is a representative of the moon in Aries. And for example, when in here, it lets you know that you can have a moon in Aries, or maybe you don't have a moon in Aries, but it's similar if you have Mars on the 4th house, or Mars in doing some weird aspect to the moon. So for example, I always tell you guys, in my case, let's take my case as an example. I have a moon in Scorpio, you all know it. I was born with a moon in Scorpio. But I also have Pluto that also is in Scorpio. I have it in conjunction next to my moon. So imagine if I had a moon in Sagittarius. I could have a moon in Sagittarius, but just the fact that I have moon conjunction Pluto, that is the planet of Scorpio, that conjunction is as if I have a Scorpio moon trait or influence. So in this sense, like I am a moon in Scorpio, but I am like a double moon in Scorpio because I have the moon conjunction like tight and very close to the Scorpio planet. So, maybe you don't have a moon in Scorpio, but you do have your moon conjunction or opposite Pluto. And then that also gives you the attributes as if you would have it. But also I have these aspects, this whole Scorpio moon, I have it in the 10th house. That is the house of Capricorn. So yes, I am a very emotional moon. Yes, I am like a double Scorpio moon, but I also have it in the house of Capricorn. So it's going to be a bit more like reserved. If a Scorpio is reserved, with the being in the house of Capricorn, it's even tighter. It's even more like that. It puts distance. My emotional world it has another extra barrier. Or people can perceive me as being someone very hard to see what's going on with me. Because I have a lot of shields. Listen, take a picture of my page and I'll figure out the rest. What? That's an intense placement to have. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Definitely, I think that for me, and also because my moon and my moon conjunction Pluto in Scorpio is in the higher um, place of the chart. Like it's very high, it's very up there, very close to the midheaven. So probably, when I arrived to this world, when I was born, I almost died, and my mom almost died. So, I carry that Plutonian energy with me. As soon as I enter this life, I have it with me, you know. But I also have the sun in the first house. So somehow, yes, I had traumatic life and death experiences, but I also have the possibility to focus on myself in this lifetime, and focus on building myself, and present to the world in this very sort of individualistic kind of way and be like, okay, I am, you know. For example, I'm going to translate a bit this part, the moon in Aries. The chapter ends up, starts like this. It starts with someone saying, my mom used to get very upset or get very angry. My mom used to tell me all the time what I had to do. My mom was very, how do you say when someone is very into your business all the time? How do you say that in English? This is why I need you guys to help me with this, because I'm not that good at translation. How do you say that? Is it noisy when you are like too much in other people's business? Noisy, yeah. My mom was very noisy. My mom was a warrior. My mom was an Amazon that put I don't know how to say this. It's like when you face at front the world, or wherever the world comes, like a very brave person. These are some of the phrases that I heard the most someone say about describing a mother or a person that took care of a moon in Aries. Maybe without realizing, using these phrases to define my mother, I was also defining myself or my adult self in my relationship with my partner or with my friends. Or maybe I polarized and I went to the opposite extreme and now I reject the conflict. But casually, all the people that surround me get upset for nonsense. They tell me what I have to do and I have to put up with that. Everyone around me are so irritable. The astrology doesn't let us get away that much. I can't, then I can not identify with the position of the moon at the moment of my birth, but this is going to be operating in an unconscious and project kind of way that is going to be projected on the people that surround me. There's a part that is mine, and then there's a part that is manifested in others. Yeah, this is something that I notice a lot with Moon in Aries people, is that they usually I'm like, oh, you're a Moon in Aries, like I'm sure, like, you know, you must have like this very intense inner world, you know, in the sense that you know, probably like feeling very excited or very, even like feeling like you want to fight someone, you know, feeling very competitive and very strong inside. And usually they look at me and they're like, no, I don't like conflict at all. Actually, I'm very calm. Like, you know, I don't get angry. Like, I don't, my mom was very sweet. Like, I avoid conflict at all costs. And I'm like, are you really a moon in Aries? Like, the moon in Aries tend to polarize a lot. And usually the way that the moon in Aries has to come out is because the outside or the people around them are usually the ones that reflect this Aries nature that they don't let themselves face. You know, for example, they are like, I don't understand why people like enter in endless arguments with me, or people want to fight me, or people want to, I don't know, like get into confrontations with me, and I'm not interested. I'm just okay, like I don't want drama. But usually the surroundings bring you all the drama so you can like get in contact with that moon in Aries in you, and also realize that there's a warrior inside of you. There's a very high energy, high. There's a lot of anger in you, in your emotional world, and that you can be competitive as well, that you can be brutally honest as well, and that somehow it's either your sun sign or the other aspects that you have that somehow are like covering it. You know, I meet a lot of Pisces people that have moon in Aries, also a lot of Taurus people that have moon in Aries, and usually for them, since their sun signs are usually very chill, you know, when that moon in Aries, they do not want to connect with that. You know, they are like, oh no, the others are the angry ones, like the ones that are so conflictive. I am at peace. You know, I'm someone that I just don't want to be bothered. But usually the drama or the dramatic people always is like, you know, like coming with their whole messy vibe and very aggressive energy. They are coming towards them so they can either they fight back, or you know, or they get burned, they have to learn to express that anger. You know, they have to let it out because it's a potential. And also probably, you know, also like coming to the realization that yes, I'm angry, like, you know, I sometimes I want to scream, and that I can be aggressive if I want to. Like there's an anger somewhere inside of me, you know, like I need to say it. But sometimes the Pisces person or the Taurus person or someone with the moon in Aries, they try to hide it or control it, and they have this perception of themselves as being these very pacifist and these peacemaker people. Oh no, 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 I don't get upset. No, 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 I'm so patient. I never lose my temper. But actually the moon in Aries is in there, like pushing, pushing, pushing to get out. Hey Mariana. Hey Sinful. Look at this moon in Leo. This moon in Leo is Isis. This is very moon in Leo. This is very moon in Leo. Oh, really? Oh, wow. I love that name. I love it, that name Isis. Actually, my cat, my black cat, we named her Isis. But she didn't respond to it, so we have to change it because she wouldn't respond to it. Yeah, and look at some phrases, some key phrases of a moon in Leo person. Here are some statements. It says, I'm the only woman in a family full of, or I'm the only girl in a family full of boys. I am the firstborn. My parents wanted me so much. Every little smile, word, dance, or good grade of school was celebrated and applauded in the childhood. This moon represents an archetypical image of a happy childhood, a family that loves them infinitely, and at the same time, it gives place and space for this child to manifest it. This is the child that disguises themselves, put up a show for the whole family, and this family congratulates it. When I was younger, I used to do a lot of choreographies in front of the mirror, and I would also guide my friends to make movies. These are some typical scenes of a childhood of a moon in Leo. It's going to be a harsh trip for this child to relate to other children of their age from a space of equality. Their tendency is going to be to boss everyone around, to play to something where they have to be served or followed. The Leo moon child can be a bit, I don't know how you say despot, or it can be a bit mean, stubborn. But when this child smiles, is happy, or is really in the mood for playing, it's as if the sun has come out. Their light fills the whole room. Yeah. This is the name of the book. Alumbra la luna. Yeah, there's something very beautiful about a moon in Leo is that definitely they do have like a shining. There's something very beautiful about them, very special. But at the same time, as children, they can be a bit bossy. You know, because I grew up with one, I grew up with a cousin, I grew up with a cousin that has a moon in Leo, and definitely she would always want to have the best toys, have the best occupations. When we used to role play or something like that, you know, she would want the best of the best, and she would always choose what we were going to play next, you know. So actually someone that wasn't very considerate about what the rest of us did want it, you know. And somehow for you to play with her, you have to follow her. So yeah, it's not that actually it's not that they're not mean, but I think that they sometimes they have this bubble where they just don't acknowledge that there are other people that could want something different, you know, or actually, you know, about, you know, giving a place or an opportunity for others to shine as well. The friends that they have are also follower in their mindset. Only as children, my mom is bossy her whole life. People call her general. Yeah, they definitely steal the spotlight. They want it. Of course, it has to do with, you know, like I tell you, we have to see the whole chart. We have to see where the moon sign is in. But I had experience meeting people like this that they have this very bright side that I would say I admire them very much, because when they talk or when they express how they feel, they definitely are the leader type. But sometimes I think that they take over too much, you know, too much protagonism sometimes, that maybe they are not that pleasant to hang around. You know, sometimes it's like too much. At least for my introvert kind of attitude, it's like, for me, if they want to take the spotlight, it's like, yes, go ahead, I don't mind. But I do put resistances to being boss around. Definitely I don't like it. Like I am my own boss. Like I don't like it. Like, and I'm not going to argue either. I'm just not going to follow you around. I'm just going to, you know, be still like this and not move, but definitely not following around. That created a lot of conflicts, a lot of discussions in my childhood playing with them, a lot of drama. But for me, it wasn't dramatic at all. For me, it was like, okay, you want this, I get it. You want these followers. Like, I can play in a very peaceful way with you. You can have all the pretty toys, everything. But at the end of the day, I don't forget that sometimes, I can play by myself and actually I'm very happy. I don't need you. Like, if I don't play with you, my world is not going to end. What do you think about Leo risings? No, for me, all the placements are beautiful. Leo risings, definitely, they are very popular. I love it. I love to see it, especially when I love to see Leo risings for people that probably have other placements that are a bit like on the shy and introvert kind of. Part, so when you have a Leo rising, it's your opportunity to rise, literally. It's your opportunity. It's like life is going to give you the opportunity or the possibility for you to later in life become the protagonist. Maybe, I don't know, if you, because it actually, like, I think that the people that have these Leo placements, not the sun, but the other Leo placements, Venus in Leo, Mars in Leo, rising, moon, these, I believe, that are the people that struggle the most with their identity or with their self-esteem. So somehow this Leo energy is like a key ingredient in that possibility of them becoming more, of loving themselves more, and embracing their individuality. So for me, whenever I see like Leo rising, I'm like, great, you need that energy. But because this is what I think. I think that everything is a potential. Every little aspect that you have on your birth chart is a potential. Like even the ones that you don't recognize in yourself. Maybe you have, I don't know, you recognize your sun, your moon, and your Venus. But then with the rest, you're like, oh no, I'm not that person. Like, oh, I don't really, for me, I struggle a lot with my Venus and Mars in Pisces. Definitely, I struggle a lot with integrating this. And I think that, but I don't know why. Maybe because I had met Pisces people, especially Pisces females, that they struggle so much with just being successful in life or being happy in life. So for me, it was like, oh no, I have a Pisces placement. I'm going to be unhappy for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know. I guess I was surrounded by a lot of Pisces females that they will have to sacrifice themselves for their family, sacrifice their own dreams, their own aspirations, their own vision of life, their own freedom. So I was like, oh no, I don't, me as a Capricorn, I was like, I don't like that. So when I find out that I had a Venus in Mars in Pisces, I was like, oh no, this is not mine. Like, I accept all the rest. I accept all the chaos of all the placements that I have. But these two, I don't accept. These are not mine. And then eventually, when I started, like, using this sort of art therapy, and connecting more with my artistic side and with my creative side and also with my emotions, I learned that actually Pisces energy has a lot of potential and has a lot of wisdom. And that actually Pisces gives you room, gives you the possibility to to absorb everything, everything, everything. It's just that you have to somehow give it a structure because you can fall into a fantasy, yes. Venus in Pisces falling fast, hurt, and also moving on from crush to crush very quickly. Yeah, I usually, when I was younger, I at first I was like, oh no, this is not me. But I remember I used to like, what you say now about ghosting people. I used to ghost people in my past, like, and for example, decided to go on a date with someone because that person was very insistent, and actually not because I liked them, So having that very, like, I would say that's very, like, it's not been shady, but it's been a bit confusing, because why would you accept to go on a date with someone that you are not sure if you like that person, or if you're sure if that person is your type. So why would you, lead them on like that? And when I was younger, I used to be like that, or actually not calling the person back or not answering their text, So I used to be very evasive in the love department, And then I was like, I think that the only time that I wasn't able to get away with it was when I went on a few dates with an Aries guy, an Aries sun guy. He definitely, like, he just got very upset at me. He got very angry at me. He started telling me a lot of things. And I was offended, of course. I never saw him again after that. But he made this whole, like, this whole rant about me being actually being lying to him, or actually not being, a nice person, because he was like, how come you went on a date with me, and you said that you wanted to see me, and now you don't want to be with me? What is wrong with you? He got really, like, really angry at me. And I think that this is what I needed. Somehow I needed someone to confront me about these tendencies, about not being clear with the message, about, okay, like, maybe for me it was a sort of like a game, like, it wasn't that serious, like, oh yes, I will date him, or I will go out on a date with him. And for him, this was serious, because actually he was very interested in me, but I wasn't. So he was very upset about that, about how come you are not that clear. I was honest from day one and you weren't. So I think that, there's a lot of things that we can learn, the shadow aspect and the good aspect of our life, of our placements. It's not all light and flowers, and, each sign, they have their shady their shady attribute. Hey, Carlos. I love Pisces placements as Moon in Pisces. No, we're not that hopeless. And Pisces stellium, also Venus Pisces. It's a struggle at times having a Moon in Pisces because we are sensitive and sometimes delusional, which is not always fun. But as anything, it also has its positive side. Yes, definitely. It has positive side. But I think that, me being a Capricorn, I have Sun, rising, Mercury, a lot of. I was born in a Capricorn generation, Jupiter in Capricorn, So I don't know, maybe in my very earthy kind of energy, I would assert myself, or I would think about myself as this very reliable person, or as this very responsible person, or as this very stable person. But actually in relationships or in the romance department, I had this Venus and this Mars, and this Venus and this Mars were like somehow like an influence for me to be a bit aloof, or for me to be a bit confusing, and also like probably like, yes, fantasizing a lot, but not committing that much, or actually not being sure about what I wanted. out of a relationship, just going with the flow, but not thinking about settling down or about being serious about someone, while the other person in front of me probably wanted, an answer, from me, and I was just being like confusing. So I guess that shows you that in different aspects of your life, different placements can come out to play, and it's not just only the fault of your sun sign or your rising or your moon. Sometimes you have Venus, you have Mars, you have Mercury, you have all these other aspects that can come out and be like, yes, hello, this is part of you as well. We are here, and we are protagonists as well. The fact that you are not like actually like seeing us is because you are not very awake, like you are not paying attention to yourself. But especially when you polarize with others, when you think like, oh, I am this sign, but my sign is better, and that the opposite sign of mine, for example. Oh, I'm a Capricorn. Capricorns are the best, and Cancers are the crybabies of the zodiac, for example. You thinking that your sign has the whole answers, but actually in the opposite, we also are that. We also are the opposite of, we sometimes don't act our own signs. We sometimes polarize. We have the traits of our opposite. I relate. I have 5 house in my Gemini, fifth house in my Pisces Venus, so theoretically it could push me into many relationships, but it wasn't like that at all. I also was very selective, but also unsure of my own needs. So I always played safe for myself, not others. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was a whole knowing myself, and also working a lot on myself to also register my own needs. To be like, okay, this is what I want in a relationship, and not get lost in a commitment with someone that probably had very different aspirations than mine, and just going for the ride and be like, oh, I like him, I'm going to date him. Or I don't know, I like the way he smiles, so I'm going to, yes, yeah, I'm going to date him, or I'm going to see him, and being very superficial also. Then I realized that yes, we weren't in the same page, we didn't want the same things, that the things that he wouldn't like about me, I wouldn't like about him as well. So, also doing a sort of like inner work about what do you want out of a relationship? What do you want? And why are you with this person? There are people that are in relationships, like stable relationships, and they actually do not like each other. They're always complaining about each other. So I think that there are people that are natural complainants, that they're always complaining about something. But other very different thing is when you don't like the person that you're with. And that's your responsibility. If you don't like the person that you're with, or if you don't like yourself, how you are when you're with that person, then you have to, search in yourself. Yeah, I feel the most connected with my Virgo moon. It feels like a spine to my Pisces stellium. Definitely. Definitely. Your moon in Virgo in there, it's somehow to help you dissect everything, when it comes to what is real. It's somehow giving you a very sharp eye and observation of yourself. And probably, you have to, it's an interesting mix because, Pisces and Virgo are opposites. So, Pisces can be sometimes too delusional, like too compassive, like too compassionate with themselves and others. And sometimes Virgo is too strict with themselves and others. So you have to find a middle ground. You know, it's okay for the Virgo influence, the Virgo moon in you to be like, oh, this is, you need to work on this. This is the detail. This is it. You know, but do not hurt yourself in the process. You know, like, yes, keep. I think that the Virgo moon can give you a structure, can give you um, the ability to see if you are making a mistake or if you are hurting yourself in this delusional, very happy, bubbly kind of energy. You know, it's like somehow holding you grounded and being like, hello, like, let's get back to work. Like, you have a lot of pendants. You cannot go to the Lululand yet, you know. I have a Taurus sun, which also stabilizes my Pisces moon, so I understand. Yeah, yeah. But the Pisces moon is very strong in Taurus suns. I have a friend that she has a moon in Pisces, and she would be very elusive with some like she would definitely like ghost people in the sense that not ghost people, gaslight people, especially when they try to hold her accountable for something. You know, she was like, oh no, I didn't do that. Like, no, I'm very organized with my matters. I didn't make a mistake. Everything is under control. And you know how Taurus energy is very chill to put you in your place. You know, you cannot move a Sun in Taurus. A Sun in Taurus is always right. Hey, Helium. But at the same time, you know, the Pisces moon can be a sort of a denial, you know, a denier, you know, be like, no, I don't see anything wrong in what I did. But yes, there is. Like, you know, that Pisces energy is very. I'm constantly in the Lululand Soha. Oh, Lilith. Lilith in Pisces. Yeah, I feel that, you know, Pisces placements actually is very beautiful. I think that we need to have Pisces placements, you know, especially the people that we have a lot of, like either fire or earth signs, you know, we tend to be very inflexible. So when we have a bit of Pisces, it's okay. You know, it does have a purpose. It does have a purpose. You know, it maybe in another lifetime, in another life, you had a lot of very restrictive kind of placements that didn't allow you to see, to enjoy your life, to fantasize, to dream. You know, sometimes someone in the zodiac has to dream, has to fantasize, you know, has to, you know, go meditate, like choose, like go away in your mind. You know, we need that sometimes. We cannot be always like go, 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 go. You know, sometimes we do need this mystical side of Pisces. Sometimes we do need it. Sometimes we do need to escape a reality. You know, there's a lot of things in reality that are not going that well. So maybe having the ability to fantasize, it's also a gift, you know, and it's also something that maybe when you exercise in a short period of time, of course, this doesn't mean that you have to evade your whole life. But there's also a purpose in the ability to dream and fantasize. I'm so new to astrology. Is the degree of the zodiac in a planet? Is the degree of the zodiac in a planet can show us how much someone have the traits of the zodiac? You mean the degree of the planet? Yeah, yeah, it can. Yeah, the degrees it has some, but these are very detailed things that only an astrologer can tell you. Like someone that looks at your chart. Of course, it's not the same to have your sun at the 0 degrees of the house of Taurus that have it at the, I don't know, at the 9 or at the 20 degrees. The degrees definitely, like, it could mean something, but that's a very small detail. It's a very small, like, you have to go through the whole analysis of the chart to eventually get to the degrees. And the astrologers only mention the degrees when it changes something, like it affects something, but otherwise they don't mention it. Don't really relate to the gaslighting trait of a Pisces moon, but I do relate to the escapism trait for sure. Yeah, I mean, all the signs can do gaslighting. Yeah. All the signs, when they put their mind into it, they can. I think that the gas to be able to gaslight someone is not about this. It's not about, a typical astrological placement. It's more about, human nature and relationships. Relationships are, in a relationship, you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of doing. Hey, Eric. Samara, I was listening, to this Tumblr about Kento Yamasaki. Remember that I was like, oh, I'm going to listen to it about his personality reading. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it, Samara. Like, you know what? I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I agree to everything, but I think that I'm going to get out of Tumblr. Honestly, I'm going to get out of Tumblr, tarot, and astrology because I don't know. I just don't connect, and I think that it's like I read a lot of things, but I'm like, okay. Like, you know how you collect information and you're like, okay. No, really, really, all of Tumblr, yeah, except Nico maybe. Nico, I do like it because they are amazing in astrology. But I'm saturated, honestly. I'm saturated with this sort of, because when you somehow follow some people, some content creators, you have other pages being like suggested to you. And there's something about this and idols, like, and I think that about, I'm talking, Lynette, about Tumblr, like K-pop, tarot for K-pop idols, or astrology for K-pop idols, and I'm like, I don't know, it just saturates my mind. I think that because I'm also doing like, I'm taking another classes to keep like working on tarot. And I have my tarot teacher, and the other day we were talking about the origins of tarot, the first tarot decks that were created. We were talking about the history of tarot, the symbolism, everything. So I think that, and I did mention this about oracles. I do own oracles. I have a lot of oracles, and probably I'm going to be adding a lot more oracles in the future. But first of all, I am a tarot reader. I use the tarot. I read the tarot. For me, the symbolism, the history, the energy of a tarot deck, of a Rider-Waite, of a Marsella, for me, of a Toss, for me, it's a very strong connection that I have with the craft of reading tarot. So sometimes when I hear some people doing these readings for these idols, I'm like, where did you get that information? And and I think that it's not just for idols. I believe that probably is also for other purposes. Maybe they read for other people. I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of people with a lot of imagination. With a lot of imagination. And for me, I am a tarot reader. That's my essence. I cannot change all the years of practice. And when I started, when I was really young, and this sounds, I'm sounding like an old person, but this is the reality. I only owned a tarot deck, one tarot deck. And that's how I used to perform my readings. So back in the day, when I was younger, things were simpler when it came to reading cards, when it came to using the tarot. Now it seems like because of all the decks and all the different, I own a lot of decks. This is why I'm guilty of that as well. But usually I realize that I always use the same deck. So, this is about also stopping the consumerism of, and being a bit selective about, okay, what do you want to consume? What are you going to do with this information? Like, at least that's what I want to create with the way I read tarot, And for me, I'm like, why are you buying so many tarot decks if you're always using the same one, And I don't know, I just don't want to, I don't know, I just want to stick to my old ways, to my, I'm glad because everyone always shares this, these different readings, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe, I can see how there are some tarot readers that I really do respect here on YouTube. And I do follow them because I'm like, I love the way they interpret the cards. They definitely teach me a lot about their own way of interpretation. But I also have to stay true to my system. And my system is that I am a tarot reader. I am a tarot reader. I am not a fanfic creator. What can I tell you? I don't know. Tumblr does look for certain things. Okay. You basically sick of the amount of oracles used, and that is very, yes. Yeah, yes, Amara. Like my brain, like my mind is a bit stuck. I'm like, I prefer not to see, I prefer not to go to that side of, because it doesn't help me as a reader, it doesn't make my experience better, and this is what I want with my readings, I want you to maybe if I can also inspire you to start reading tarot for yourself. and open your eyes about the perception, about you being an intuitive person, and you being a tarot reader yourself, or you being an astrologer yourself. I don't know. That's what I want to do. But to fit into some people's fantasies, like, if you don't mind me asking, at what age did you start reading tarot? Oh, I started at 15. I was very young. I wasn't supposed to be reading, but I started. To me, when it comes to certain tarot readers, I'm selective with the way they interpret things, because sometimes they are fanfic readers themselves. Some of them do sound like fanfics. It's exactly, Elio. At first I was like, oh, this is interesting, and because I'm a person just like you guys, of course. Like, I want to know what is being talked about. Like, I want to know, like, okay, this is the tarot community, or this is the oracle community. I don't know. I want to read, because, I also am interested. I'm a person, and I want to read about my bias. I want to watch my biases readings or the other groups' readings. But then, if I have to reflect on it, and if I have to be like, okay, what did I just read? It's like this empty feeling of, like, what? Like, like, I don't know. I just feel weird. And I think that I need to stay away from those. I need to stay away. To be honest, any behavior is interesting, and some things are none of my business. Yeah, and also that, Samara, I think that in my case, probably is that, there are some characteristics, or there are some subjects that are being described in these readings that are like, is this my business? Like, am I going to be a better fan or a bigger fan if I read this? Like, is my bias going to create better music because of it? Like, there are things that I'm like, yeah, that's great if my bias is a passionate lover. Like, I'm happy for him and his partner. but what is it in it for me? Like, what do I learn from knowing this? Like, and I think that, yes, I totally, like, I came to a realization that it's just words in my mind, like, but this, and I think that it also depends on the reader, because for me, whenever I hear, I don't know, I do follow the Lion's Den here on YouTube. I follow Nocturne's Lullaby here on YouTube. And I'm a fan of their readings. And sometimes I'm not even interested in the person they're reading for, but I always like watch and listen, because they have this sort of like seriousness about reading the cards. They set the mood. They have their crystals. They light their incense stick. They have music. And this is what tarot reading is a whole process. It's not just pulling cards because I was bored and I like the pictures on it. It takes a lot of work. It's not something that you just randomly do. And it takes a lot of practice. That's why I was mentioning, guys, about this, that I'm doing another, like a sort of master class about the history, the creation of the first tarot deck, the meanings, the signification, the differences between the different systems, and it's like a history lesson. And for me, it's like, for me, the tarot is a tool. It's a tool. Um, I don't want it to get. It's a tool for self-actualization. When I pull cards for someone, I'm opening a range of opportunities for them to see about their current situation. So I always want to deliver this sort of message that can expand their view about what's going on with them. And about K-pop is the same. About the K-pop idols is the same. Like, of course, we know that these people are human. We know that these people are female, male. We know. They are going to have, I don't know, their darker side, their shadow, their, they are going to have like hidden parts, But sometimes, and I'm going to be honest, like sometimes the tarot doesn't let you see certain things about someone. So when I read certain like readings, I'm like, where did you get all that information? Like really, because for me, when I pull cards, it doesn't matter if it's Oracle of Tarot. There are some barriers. There are some things that you can see, or there's, the cards often are like, okay, we get it here, you cannot go further. So this is why the tarot is so mystic, or it's full of mystery. It's because, yes, you can unveil certain things, but also there are other things that remain hidden. For example, I don't know, that person's secrets, that person taboos, I don't know. Either it's for regular people or artists, it's the same. I think they sometimes exaggerate the cards just to say they can please the viewers. Yeah. Listen, Vanessa, the Lululand is the place to be. Yeah, I know that, I know. But it's just that for me, I think that is too much. For my brain, is too much. Like, I became allergic, I guess. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I heard. Like, she was like, oh, I'm saying a prayer. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I did. She did mention that part, the prayer. So I think that in that sense, that's why I was like, oh, she's definitely serious about what she's doing. Because I think that just like any tool, we should always be grateful about, for example, the tarot. Many people are like, okay, this is just a carton board, this is not. But it's a tool that helps you connect with others. Their messages, the way they help you connect. You become a sort of bridge between, the person that you're reading and the person that wants to know. So you are like this part in common. So we should always like say a prayer, be thankful, protect our energy as well. This is why I don't read now that we are in Holy Week. I don't pull cards, because there are a lot of tarot readers. Actually, I was reading a colleague that she's a tarot reader here in Argentina. She was talking about like, what do we do? Do we read? On Holy Week or not? And actually, there were a lot of tarot readers in the comment section that they were like, "Oh, of course I'm reading." Those are superstitions. Those are very old ways of viewing things. I'm not a Catholic. Like, I don't believe in those. I don't know, in those rituals, and to each their own. Like I always say, I have a certain like rules about the way I read things and when I read, and there are other people that are like, I don't care. I'm reading anyway. I'm reading anyway. I there's nothing wrong with pulling cards. It's not like, and that's also very valid. And I respect the people that does it. But for me, I don't know why. And also, I think that it has to do with the fact that I'm always reading. Like, I post almost every day. So it's like if I take a week off, like a weekend off, it's not going to, it's not going to make me like, like, I don't know, my community is really small, so, so, no one is going to miss me. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. There's plenty of content on the internet. So if you do not read for me, if you know that do not get a reading from me, you can get a reading elsewhere. I'm sure. There's a lot of info. There's a lot of info going around. And also, I believe that it's about also not like preventing yourself from having a sort of like burnout. Because usually the people that we are tarot readers, or even the people that work as therapists, we also as counselors, when we have these occupations that are of serving others, helping others, being there for others, like advise others. Sometimes we do need a time off, like a break. We need it because we're human, we are human. There's a person behind us, so behind our role. So I think that it's great to, to identify that in yourself, do a sort of like check in, and it's like, okay, how are you doing? How is your connection with the decks, with the place, with the audience, the Lululand. I like that. I think Parvati mentioned it previously. Yeah. And these are not tarot decks. These are the astrology cards. Oh, the astrology cards that I had. This is not a tarot deck. Okay, guys, I guess we have been ranting for a while here, and I had come, we had chat a bit about the moon signs, like not so much, but just a few moments. So I'm going to go. Today I have a birthday. I have my cousin's birthday, so I have to get ready. So yes, it's Aries season, people. It's Aries season. And yesterday was my dad's birthday, so we were celebrating as well. So yes, it's but celebrating Catholic style, very reserved with not so much loud music and stuff, very reserved. Not a crazy party. So yes, guys, thank you so much for joining me, for listening to my rants, and thank you so much for always being there and give me feedback, so I can learn also a lot from you and your point of view. We all learn about a lot of things. So yes, we are constantly absorbing information. Thank you, Elio. Thank you. Have fun, you too, and enjoy your weekend.